you're looking for all the answers, I don't have them. But what I do have is a particular set of skills. Skills I've developed over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people who mislead, misrepresent, or misinform people in the sports card industry. So if you don't do that, I'll let it go. I will not pursue you. However, if you do, there's a good chance you're going to get exposed. Ooh, that was kind of intense. You get people's attention? I don't know. We'll see. I'm really a nice guy. I just try to do what's best for people, and I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers along the way. That's just the way I am. Been around the block. If I could do something to help people, that's what I'm going to do. So, I hope you guys, this is kind of a bonus episode. My wife, unfortunately, had to leave for the weekend, or fortunately, depending on how your marriage is, but had some free time. I talked to my producer, director, at Ty Eisman, and he said, why don't you go down and do another video? And I said, on what? He goes, exactly what you were talking about, because we just had a conversation about influencers and stuff like that. And on the last episode, I actually teased the 10 questions. So we're going to do maybe a little bit more than 10 questions, and maybe I'll go on a little bit of a Sunday night rant, because that's just the way I am. Sometimes you guys know I'll get on my soapbox and I'll just talk about stuff. And I talk from the heart, I talk straight. If you don't agree with me, that's terrific. The people that are close to me in this industry, they don't agree with me all the time, and that's what makes healthy discussion. So, with that, as I said before, we're going to ask, and I have some notes. I'm going to look down because, as I said, look, I'm not going to ever go, I'm going to get killed for this again. Bagley, 13 games, 6 points per game, 31%. I'm not going to do that. I have notes because I want to stay on track with you guys, okay? So, the questions came up, and I want to also really briefly talk about Stacking Slabs podcast, which I was fortunate enough to be a guest on this past Friday. What a fun time that was with Brett. Brett is an innovative young man who's interesting. He's got a wide range of expertise, and he's one of my inner circle, I am proud to say. If you listen to the conversation, we talked about what's going on in the industry now, what we like, what we don't like, where he thinks it's going, and we just had some really great back and forth. So that kind of like dawned on me and said, like, well, why don't you get on and basically just say, you know, what you're feeling, you know, about the whole industry as a whole and what's happening. So that's where we are. So I'm going to run through some questions, okay, that I talk about all the time, and I never get tired of talking about it because I think it's interesting. It's not a bitch fest. I'm not going to be complaining about people because I don't care. Okay, and that's the attitude that you guys should take. You need to really decide who you're going to follow and what advice you're going to take. But I will say this, and this is why I'm doing this. Before you take people's advice, for you to spend your money, make sure that you're getting good advice. So what I did is I put on my investigator hat. You guys know I was with DEA for 25 years. And I said, if I was interviewing these guys, what would I want to know? And with that, here's an open invitation. I am not going to name names. There's guys out there. Everybody knows who watches the YouTube channels about influencers. They are old. Actually, I'm probably the oldest guy, but they're old, they're young, they're male, they're female, you know, you name it. And they have anywhere from like me, which are very small, I'm a little tiny fish in a big ocean, to guys that have thousands and thousands of subscribers that actually do have influence on not only the industry, but on the sports card market. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Some people think that I'm crazy, and when I say that they influence the market, that no, they don't influence it, they just say what they feel. We'll talk about that. So, the first thing I want you to think about is when you listen to these guys and gals is, why are they on YouTube? What is the reason? Is the reason to give information about the sports card industry, to tell you what's happening, to give you trends, to let you know what's going on, or do they have any kind of other reason? Okay, that's pretty easy to do, right? I mean, when I came on, I explained to you guys my background, what I did, and why I'm doing it now, and why I couldn't do it 5 years ago, okay? I have a great opportunity because of my position that I don't have now to talk to you guys. But when you talk to, or not when you talk, you don't talk to these, I just could in a live chat, right? But when you see these people, do you ever go back to maybe their first video? And do they ever tell you, hey, my name is Andy, I'm a retired DEA guy, been collecting cards for 25 years, been investing, collecting, buying, flipping, I'm retired, I don't have another job. Do they tell you who they are and what they are? Or they just come out and start giving you information? May not be a big deal to you, but I like to know who I'm dealing with. And in the day of social media, maybe it's just something that no one's going to do and it's fine. That's your decision. And so the next question is, what skill set are they promoting that would make you want to take advice from them? Now, with me, it's quite simple. You could take me at face value or not. You know, I was a DEA agent for 25 years. I specialize, obviously, in investigations. That's what I did my whole life. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm investigating the card industry, trying to figure out ways that I can give you information to make you more profitable. If you looked at my last video, that was one that I'm very proud of, and it's probably my driest video because it's boring as hell, right? But I had to go through the process to tell you that once you select a player, the same pattern exists, whether it's Grant Williams or Zion Williamson. The same pattern exists, and you can take advantage of that. Now, will we go through and talk about other players coming up into the draft? You bet we will. And am I going to tell you to buy a player? You bet I won't. But by the information that we gather, we'll be able to decide if we're going to move forward or not. Okay, that's my background. That's what I want to do. That's the skill that I'm promoting. Okay? One of the things I do, and again, this is me because it's what I did. When you look at a YouTube person that's doing these videos, do you ever go back in their history of the videos and see what they did? It's fascinating. You should try it. See if cards were their first thing, or were they doing something else and then they started to do cards? I mean, that's perfectly fine. Some of the guys that I listen to are great and they didn't start off as cards, but there's a natural transitions. But I found that interesting. That may be nothing at all. It's just something that, hey, this is the kind of stuff that I look at. And what's your level of experience? And how do you know? You don't know. Maybe I was, I don't know, a plumber for 20 years and I just said, hey, I'm going to be a DEA agent for now. I'm going to go. You don't know. But I hope my expertise shines through, that you would understand that I'm trying to be perfectly honest and trustworthy with you. I have no skin in this game. I am not going to have you buy picks from me or join, I don't know what the hell it's called, Patreon, some pay membership. I'll talk a little bit about that too. But I am who I say I am. Believe it or not, it's free country, free will, right? You don't have to listen. But do the people that are giving you this advice, does it match up with their level of experience? Are you going to listen to someone who tells you, here's how you should invest in sports cards, when at their own admission they've only been doing it for a few months? Instead of maybe saying, hey, I'm starting this journey. Let's go down the road together. We'll make mistakes. We'll have great fun along the way. We'll learn together. But think about that. I mean, I thought that was an interesting thing too. And again, I'm not like a lot of people. I'm very, my investigative background combined with my OCD, I know makes me dangerous, but it is what it is, guys. The people that promote picks, do they give you a rhyme or reason for doing so? Go grab Darius Garland. He was $3 yesterday. He's $2.50 today. I think he's going to be, go grab him. Is that what they're doing? Right? that doesn't really tell us much unless it's someone that you know because of their history and background, that if they give you advice, it's solid. I don't know those people. No, I take that back. I actually do. I know some people that if they called me and said, hey Andy, this is a guy to look at, I might do a cursory look, but I'm gonna go buy them because I know these guys. They're in my inner circle and I talk about those guys. The guys, Jordan, Chris, and Brett. These are the guys that I look to for advice because I trust them, I know them. It's not someone who I don't know telling me what and who to buy. That's just not me, okay? Do they explain their process? No, I went through and I joked on Brett's podcast. It's the greatest video no one's ever watched. I take that back, and I appreciate you guys. I think it has like 600 or 700 views, which I'm amazed. I mean, this whole YouTube thing is fascinating to me. That I'm just hoping that I can, that people that are actually have an interest in watching, because it's fantastic, right? What a medium, which is good and bad, and that's what we're talking about this. But I went through a process, and it was fun. I enjoyed doing it, but it actually goes through a process. Someone tells you someone that you're looking to buy, you go through a checklist. Maybe in the future, I got to talk to my crack director, producer. Maybe we'll put together a checklist. Go down the road. When I used to do investigations, when the investigation was done, we're going to close out a case. I'd have to go down that checklist. This report done, that report done, this report done, this. Maybe we'll do something like that, and then you can check. You can actually have a process that's a tangible, meaningful thing. Something I'll think about. Maybe we'll do something like that. We'll see if the players that we look at check all the boxes, right? We'll see. Now, one of the things I think is really funny, but not in a funny way, but funny like, okay, here we go. When they look at their cards and they're suggesting a card, is their information subjective or objective? Okay? Subjective. Do you ever hear a guy suggest a card to you and say, go watch his hype video? What? Watch his hype video? My son, okay, was one of the purest shooters I've ever seen shoot the ball in basketball. Ask his high school coach, ask his AAU coach, which was me, the answer is yes. Ask his teammates. He's money, as they say, right? He played varsity basketball, okay? He played, I don't know, he's going to probably, if I'm going to say a number and if it goes on the screen that he's correcting me as we speak, I would say his senior year, he was the first kid off the bench. He probably played between 8 and 10 minutes. He probably averaged 6 and 8 points. He would just come in and get on the wing, bang, right? If you did a hype video for my son, you'd think he was playing for Duke. Hype videos are just that.
Prendelo, papi, street, fame, beats.
Hype videos are just that. They want you to get excited so you'll go out and go, wow, this guy's awesome, let me go buy his card. There's a place for that, but show me his strengths. Show me his weaknesses. Show me his statistics. Show me how much time he's playing on the court. Tell me what the coach thinks of him. Tell me what his contract status is. Tell me if he's playing out of position. Tell me if he can handle the ball. Tell me if he's got a go-to move. Tell me his defensive tendencies. Tell me, you know what I'm saying, right guys? A hype video does not a buy make. I'll leave it there. Other than prices, what trends do they track? And I just said that. Do they track price trends? Do they do playtime trends? Do they do it over a period of time? There's a lot of things to look at. And we looked at that in the other videos, but something to think about. And are they consistent in what they are telling you? Look, I am not like the average guy, and I joke about this with the guys I talk to all the time. I'm retired. Look, I do consulting work on the side, but I have a lot of free time. And I watch every single video I can, okay? And there's guys out there that are really good and guys out there that are not so good. And the guys out there that I'm listening to, and you listen to, are they consistent in what they're telling you? Now, you know, I've watched videos where guys would say, a question, would you buy, sell, or hold? And during the answer, they say all three. Well, I could buy, but, you know, maybe I'll hold them if I think they're really going to be good. But, you know, maybe I'd sell a few because, you know, what I do is I have 7 or I have 10, I sell 5, I give 2 to my mom, 1 to my cousin. Come on, be consistent, because that's what I look for. If you're not consistent when someone's asking you a question, how can I trust what your opinion is? I was listening to one guy, and I'm not going to say the name, I won't do it, but it was a very, very popular rookie player that I like, right? You know, I'm not going to say his name, we didn't go through the process together, but I like him. And the question was, what do you think of player X? And the influencer said, well, I like him. And he went through, it was a decent process. I mean, he gave the guy's height and weight, but then he said he was going to play defense and this. It wasn't awful. I get it. You know, it was enough to whet my appetite if I didn't know who the player was and didn't already do my homework 5 months ago, which is something else we'll talk about. You know, a lot of these guys wouldn't really have picks if you guys, you know, would have these picks already targeted when the buys were not even on the board yet. And we talked about that in my last video when I showed you trends, and we're going to talk more about that. But look, getting back to it, he said I wouldn't buy his PSA 10s because they're $100 now and they're too expensive. Okay, and then he said I got some, I put some away, so I'm going to keep them for next year. But if you have some, you can sell some. And I'm like, it's right in front of you, dude. It's right in front of you. Tell the kid, the guy, the man, the woman who's asking the question, say, look, if you're saying he's a hold, and he very well might be a hold, I actually agree with that. If you're sitting on 2 or 3 of his cards, and they look pristine, and we'll talk about grading in another episode, and you're not in a rush, throw them to a third party for $15. Wait till they come back. If they're a 9 or a 10, you're golden, right? Or you could put them back in the box and wait till next year and be behind the curve. I mean, that's just me. I gotta check my mic to see if I'm still blue. Okay, good. I just don't understand that. It's like, it's right there. It's right there. Just take it that one step further, right? We want to try to give people every option and let them decide. Give them the tools to decide what is best. All right, next one. Are they buying the cards they are suggesting? Well, that's obvious. Of course they are. Because most of the time, I'm getting excited, most of the time, they're going through the cards that they bought and showing you what they have purchased. Of course they are. I actually was, when I reviewed the video, I said, man, what an idiot, what an ass I am. Because what did I do? Now, I am a little tiny fish, as we said, in a big ocean. I don't have 20,000, 10,000, I don't even have 1,000 subscribers, right? I have an intimate audience that I love talking to. So what did I do? I reached behind me and grabbed a Kendrick Nunn holo that's not there anymore, and behind me were all the cards that I was talking about in the video. Now, psychologically, what does that tell you guys? Now, again, I love that we're an intimate group, that we don't have that many guys. But if I had, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 subscribers, psychologically, am I telling you, go look at the cards that I bought because I know better? It's just part of what happens. When these guys go through their cards, of course they're telling you that they bought them, and either they're going to influence your buy, whether intentionally or not, right? So then what happens? We react to that. We're like, oh, he's got a, not even going to say any of the cards that he said because I don't, Darius Garland rookie optic, whatever. So then you go, and then you look, and you're like, wow, I'm doing my homework, really homework, and I'm seeing that his price is now 3 times what it was 2 days ago. Are you still buying that card? Are you still going to say, I believe in this guy, so even though he's 3 times what he was yesterday, or the day before, or 10 minutes before, because you're watching the video later, is he still a buy? He might be. Think about it. You know, it's funny, I gotta tell you a story. I was watching these lower level, we go low level, mid level, high level sports card influencers. I mean, there's a couple guys that are like way out there, right? 30,000, 40,000, 60,000 subscribers. They're big time. And if you don't think that they can manipulate the market either intentionally or unintentionally, we could have this argument all day, because they do. I mean, they do, right? Whether they like it or not. But anyway, I was watching these 2 guys, and I would say they're mid-low level influencers. They probably had one had like a couple thousand, the other one had whatever. They're bigger than me, right? Because I'm a Nemo in the ocean, right? These guys are like Bruce from Jaws. If you guys aren't old enough to know who that is, but he's the shark in Jaws. He's a big shark. Okay. Anyway, and they actually were talking about. I gotta read my notes, because I wrote this down because it was such a funny story. They actually used the buzzwords that the big influencer uses, because he said it. Like, he said something like, "Oh, I bought this," and then the other influencer said, "Oh yeah, that is," and I'm not going to say the word because I'm not going to do it. I promise I wouldn't do it. He said, "That is a buy that takes almost no effort and was exceedingly cheap." Do you know what I'm trying to say? Right? It was something and something. And he's like, that's what so-and-so said. So now we're actually giving credit to phrases that were branded by these influencers. And I think it's hysterical, because when I go on these, like if I'm in the live chat or I'm watching these YouTube channels, and I see guys saying, oh, it's this, or it's that. And I know exactly who they're talking about, and it's almost like a badge of honor, right? Oh, there's a line in, I don't know if you guys ever see the movie called The Rock with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage. Well, Michael Biehn is in it, and one of the best lines in that movie, best lines in any movie, and my wife repeats it, unfortunately or fortunately, because I think it's hysterical, is someone will say something like that, and I'll go, "Are you? I shit you not." This is what I would hear. It's an amazing dynamic that I'm witnessing. So let's talk a little bit about the market manipulation. Okay, I'm getting off topic, but since I brought it up, I might as well talk about it. There are certain guys out there that will say, I do not manipulate the market. And that's fine. You don't have to know or care or think that you manipulate the market. And I get into this argument all the time with the guys that I talk to, well, my inner circle, and we go back and forth, and I get it. Like some of these guys who I accuse of manipulating the market, you know, they look up to, and I get it. I mean, who doesn't want to be Gary Vee, right? He's an awesome guy. I mean, I watch him, I listen to him. He seems like he'd be, I'd love to have invitation to Gary Vee. If you want to come on my show and be interviewed, I'd be happy to do it. We can get down to some really good stuff. But he bought a card. It was an old card. It was like, I don't know who it was. It was 3 older NBA players. I'm going to get it wrong. Like Larry Bird, Julius Erving, I forget, something like that, right? And in the chat, someone wrote, they said, do you think that vintage cards are going to make a comeback? And me being the smartass replied, they are now. Right? And actually Gary Vee wrote underneath, he said like, you know, I believe that, whatever it is. But I thought that was funny, because if Gary Vee says buy Devin Booker, which we can go into at a later time, or, you know, Shaquille O'Neal, or Vince Carter, or whoever else he was saying, and those cards go triple, quadruple, he may not want to manipulate the market, but he's got so much, I don't know, is power the word? So much juice that it's going to happen. It's not his fault. More power to him. The same thing from Jeff with Sports Card Investor. He's got a ton of followers. He puts out his cards. The cards go up. So I understand when people say, I don't manipulate the market. They don't. They don't do it for their own gain. They don't. They make their money in other ways. But it just, there was a podcast, Wax Museum. He's another guy that I'm putting into the inner circle as a verified source. Really good guy. Go listen to his podcast. He's got a lot of good insight on this stuff. But I digress. So when these guys tell you to buy something, are they manipulating the market unintentionally, intentionally? To an extent, if the price goes up when they say something, you be your own judge, right? And are they selling the cards they're suggesting? Now, the guys I just talked about, they're not. I don't think they are, and I don't think they are. You know, that's a whole other, I don't think they are. But are the lower influencers, are they selling the cards? Are they transparent and saying, hey, by the way, I'm going to be, you know, I'm selling these cards that I'm suggesting? Because that would be a conflict, right? Because then if you're going to go on and look for a card, well, guess who's going to have it, right? And I don't think that's happening. And I don't think that's cool at all, but you know, just something to think about. Okay, another touchy subject. Is there collaboration between influencers? You know, I collaborate with Jordan and Chris. We do things together sometimes. In the future, we're planning to do an inner circle show, which will banter around topics. Hopefully I'm going to try to get Brett to come on too and just debate topics that come up for the card industry. We might throw in, you know, a guy that we like or not like, you know my stance on that, you know, give you pros and cons and you guys decide, whatever. But there's collaboration and there's healthy collaboration. But what I saw was collaboration between some guys that were, dare I say, pumping the same card. You know, one was like best cards under whatever, and this card came up. And then another guy who was in the group said, you know, cards I'm buying, and it was the same card. Is it a coincidence? I'm sure it could be. You know, I don't know. I'm always leery of that, because if one card is getting, you know, hyped up by multiple people that I know have a relationship just because they do shows together and recommend each other, you know, I would definitely want you to call me out if I said buy this card, which I'm not going to do. Buy this card, and then Jordan went on his show and said buy this card, and Chris, what? I would say, yeah, that would kind of like maybe raise a little concern. I'm not saying anything's like it's happening. It's something that I look for. It's just one of those things that I look for. I'm not saying it's happening at all. It's just one of the things I do look for. Okay, another one. Going to get hammered for. Do they sell memberships for picks? To me, that's where the red flag comes up, because I don't know. I mean, if you're paying for a service that sells picks, they better be good. They better show me why they're doing it, and I want to know their track record. If I'm giving you a pick, hey guys, take it or leave it, whatever, that's one thing. Or here's what I'm buying, you make your decision. But if I'm paying you my hard-earned money on these Patreon things, then I want to know whether or not how you're getting your information. Would I ever do it? Not in a million years. Do some new guys come out and do it? Absolutely. It reminds me of football, right? Where you could say, call now, we'll guarantee the winner between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, and if you don't win, you get your money back. That kind of reminds me of that. They can be perfectly terrific, make you money, do whatever. I'm just always concerned about people charging for something like that, when, on all honesty, I think you could do it yourself. But if you don't want to do it, pay away. And also, when you do that, what else are they offering? Are they offering stuff that doesn't even have to do with sports card collecting? That's kind of stuff that I look at too. To me, it's interesting. It kind of gets off that chart where it's like, look at me, I'm successful, if you follow my guide to real estate, to flipping houses, to buying used cars, here's what it is, right? It's just kind of like in that mode, that, why are we in it in the first place? Food for thought, free will, right? And then finally, the most important thing at the end of the day, after you did all of your homework on the individuals that you're listening to, do you trust them, right? If you're watching these guys for entertainment and fun, I do. I think it's great. I think some of these guys are funny, they're witty. I learn about cards from them because when they're going through the cards, my God, some of these guys have a wealth of information. We're looking like, he pulls a, second year chronicle of whatever, and I'm getting this history of these cards. It's fantastic. But you have to just be aware of what you're looking at and who you're taking your information from, and be cautious, and that's all you got to do. Look, Sunday night rant, I went on too long. I said it was going to be short. I lied. It was fun. And one more thing before I go. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe, hit the like. Yep, I do want subscribers. I do like likes, right? Go on my Instagram and scroll on the bottom. I'm giving away a Carson Edwards silver prism that I talked about in my last episode. I got them really cheap. I graded them for $20. I think I'm all in for $26.50 or something like that. It's a great card, and but it's my gift, my thank you to you for making this as successful as in a short period of time. So with that, appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.